everybody, it's Allison, stlprostretch.com, and today we are going to do some of my go-to resistance stretches, Kihara resistance stretches for the lower body. And this is great post-workout stretching, pre-workout stretching. That's the nice thing about resistance stretching is you can do it before your workout, and it's not going to cause you to perform any worse. Unlike other stretching, passive stretching, they have done research, studies that do prove that actually your performance is not enhanced, may actually worsen after you do passive stretching before your workout. Resistance stretching can help improve your workout, or your athletic performance. So we're going to come over to my mat. I have a pillow. I have some yoga blocks. I have my chair set up in the background. You will need a wall or a chair for this one, either or. Just something to do the quad stretch, the kneeling quad stretch that we did one of the last videos. And I'm going to lay down first and just get the kinks out of my spine. So lay down, put your arms out to the side, press into the back of your hand. Your palms are up, knees up, and roll the knees from side to side. Start gently at first. And then maybe you can go a little bit farther. You're actually resistance stretching your obliques as you take your knees down to the side. So you may want to kind of try to maximize that by pulling your hip away from your head. I get a little QL into the stretch as well. Believe it or not, that's actually a yoga pose called Jatara Parivartanasana. Leg swinging pose. And then I'm going to get my blocks out, just set them right here. Take my pillow or my blanket. Make sure you do have something under your knee. It's pretty brutal doing them just on the floor for your kneecap. And if you have sensitive kneecaps and this hurts, I have a video of the laying down just on your back hip flexor stretch. But maybe you might want to try just getting more padding underneath your knee. Or I know some people that have terrible knees can do this stretch with a block under their knee. So we're going to come up into this kneeling position. I prefer the pillow. And I am going to start contracting my hip flexor. How do I do that? I'm going to imagine my left knee pulling up toward my chest, like I'm going to take myself into a fetal position. So I'm going to contract by pulling that knee forward. My front foot is automatically going to want to pull back. That's what we want. Belly in. Do the opposite of sticking your butt out. And then shift forward and back. I'm already getting a stretch. Actually, I'm getting a quad stretch too. And you will, if your quad is really tight, the rectus femoris attaches to the hip bone, so it will get a good stretch through here for the quad as well. And you should do this maybe 8 to 10 times. You feel like your hip flexor is starting to get tired, get fatigued. I know that seems counterintuitive to do this before you work out, but it's like, pretend like, okay, you're running your first mile or whatever is like, for me, that's my warm-up. That's when I start feeling like, okay, now I can really run, right? When I first start, I'm like, ugh, everything's tight. So we're just loosening things up. And then I'm going to take this yoga block on the outside of my foot, and I'm going to take my back foot and pull it in a little bit. And I'm going to do the same stretch, but we're going to add a side bend. So I'm going to pull my inner thighs together, belly in, do the opposite of sticking your butt out, and we're going to come into that lunge again. You're going to reach for your block, and I'll reach over with my left arm. And you can just, keep pulling the inner thighs together, belly in, and lean. Woo, that's a good stretch. And this, my friends, if you're a yogi, this is kind of a kneeling simulation of side angle. I am turning my hips as I go. So if you never get that stretch when you're doing side angle, when you're doing yoga, try doing those actions and see if you can get it. I think a lot of it is belly in and pulling the tailbone under and then rotating the hips to the side. Once you get that stretch in your side angle with your yoga practice, it's going to be your favorite pose ever. At least that's the way it was for me. Okay, we're going to switch sides. I'm just going to turn around so that I can turn and still face you. So I'm pulling my inner thighs together. My knee, I'm imagining it come to my chest like a fetal position. And my front foot is pulling back. So I'm just contracting the legs together, belly in, shift forward and back. Remember to try to do the opposite of sticking your butt out. And I say that because a lot of times they say lift your pelvic floor or do a posterior pelvic tilt or pull your navel in toward your spine. And that is confusing for some people. People don't know the difference between an anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. So I'm just going to say do the opposite of sticking your butt out because most people can understand that action. We want to tuck the tailbone. So, 8 to 10 until you start feeling this hip flexor start to get tired? Believe it or not, the hip flexor is really actually a pretty weak muscle. It's weak, it's tight, and it's short. And it can cause all kinds of problems, including IT band syndrome and problems with your feet, bunions, if it's too tight, or if it's just stuck. All right, and then we're going to start moving into that yoga side angle pose, which is we're kneeling. I'm putting the block on the outside of my foot. I'm going to bring this back foot in a little bit. I'm going to contract my inner thighs together, belly in, tailbone under, shifting into that lunge while I'm contracting those muscles. I'm turning my hips to the side, and I'm going to reach over with my right arm. Whew. Talk about a stretch. This is a yummy stretch. Lovely. Okay. Now we're going to move on, and I should have done you can do one after the other. Like you could go right straight from your kneeling lunge forward into this stretch that we're going to do next. But I like to stretch both hip flexors out first because sometimes when you're doing a lunge, your yoga or whatever, do you ever experience that kind of you get up, you're in your first warrior one, and you get this jamming sensation? It's what's preventing you from coming forward. Once you stretch them out, you're not going to have that jamming sensation anymore. So that's why I wanted to do them both. And now we're back in the same position that we started in. I'm going to pull my heel in toward me, simulating a hamstring curl. So I'm pulling the heel in toward me, contracting that hamstring, coming forward. I'm going to keep pulling my heel in toward me and back it up until I feel a stretch. I am tight. I have not been stretching very much. I don't know about you, but even doing these two stretches is going to really help me a lot. I'm pulling my toes back toward my shin. And what that does for me is gets into the calf a little bit, because I know for me, my calves are tight all the time, and they probably could use more stretching than my hamstring. All right, and then we're going to switch sides. So I got my blocks down, I'm pulling my heel back toward me. So I'm kind of digging into the mat with my heel. And as I do that, I'm going to let my body be pulled along for the ride into my lunge. And then I'm going to keep pulling my heel in toward me and back it up. This is not about getting your legs straight. What I see sometimes in class is people get here and then they're like, dump it out. I don't really want to see that because once you get to that locked position, it's really, really, really hard to contract your muscle. You should mostly just see a little micro bend in the knee as you come back. For me, I'm not even going through the whole motion because I'm not trying to do the splits. If you are, maybe you'd like to go a little bit farther. I'm mostly concerned with my functional movement and that range of motion, which is when I'm running or when I'm jumping. I'm not usually in this completely straight leg position. The only time I can think that I would be is doing Romanian deadlifts or single leg Romanian deadlifts, probably. Which is a resistance stretch as it is. And I really miss them since I can't go to the gym right now due to the COVID. Okay. Whew. We're going to move on. And we're going to do downward dog. The downward dog stretch, all you need is a mat. On your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, press your hips up and back. Slowly lower your heels. Lift the heels, shift forward. Shift back and slowly lower the heels. Lift the heel, shift forward. Shift back, slowly lower the heels. Lift, shift forward. Shift back, slowly lower the heels. To get into a deeper stretch here, as you lower the heels, think about picking your toes up. Another thing you can do is when you shift back, slowly think about picking your toes up as you lower your heels. Tilt your tailbone up and press your chest back toward your thighs. If that doesn't do it for you, I'm not sure what else I can do. Also, you can turn your toes in. That gets into the outer aspect of the calf a little bit, or your toes out. Just feel the difference. Okay. We're going to come back down on the mat. This is kind of a lazy on the mat routine. And we're going to do the adductor stretch. So the glute stretch, I have the standing one in some other videos, but today we're going to do the supine version. Block if you need it for your head or blanket or something. I'm going to cross my left ankle over my right knee. And I'm going to pick them up and take my hands through and wrap my fingers around, just clasp my fingers around the back of my right thigh. If this is too much for you, go grab a strap around the back. That'll work just fine. So now I'm going to create resistance by pushing my left ankle into my right knee. So I'm going to push into this knee. I'm going to push until my legs start moving away from me. I'm going to let that happen. I'm going to press my left ankle into my right thigh and just let my upper body come along for the ride. That's a contraction. I'm going to keep pressing the ankle into the thigh, and I'm going to pull back with my arms, maybe bend the elbows a little bit, and that's the stretch. The key here is you have to keep pushing the ankle into the thigh. If you're really flexible, you can take that elbow and just kind of dig it into the knee. Push it out a little bit. So yeah, this is glute, adductor, and also you get a little bit into that outer hamstring as well. I'm definitely feeling it in my my outer hamstring, right along the IT band. And then I'm going to switch sides. So ankle crosses over, lift, either strap or hands. Clasp your fingers. I'm going to press my right ankle into the left thigh. Get that contraction going. Press, let that move my legs. My upper body is just dead weight coming along for the ride. And now I'm going to keep pressing the ankle into the thigh and pull it back until I feel a stretch. Kind of getting quiet now. I'm really enjoying this one today. You'll know that you probably are at the end of the stretch when your butt starts coming up off the ground. I have a lot of people that come to class and they're like, oh, I'm gonna, but see how far my butt is off the ground? That's like, okay, my glutes don't stretch that far anymore. Okay. Now we're gonna do the quad stretch with the chair or quad at the wall. You can do the alternate, the quad stretch where we're laying like this. That's in my video with the quad pump and the quad stretches. You should review that one. Otherwise, we're going to go to the chair. I've got my blanket, my pillow, my pads, whatever I need for my knees. I'm going to put it right up next to the chair. And this is the alternative version I gave you guys to get into this stretch in the video with the quad pump and the 2 quad stretches. I'm kneeling. I have my leg out to the side in a lunge. I'm going to use my blocks, or actually this little chair is going to help me a lot. I'm going to lean forward, flip my foot up the chair, hang on to this puppy for balance. Whew. Super tight today. I don't know how you're feeling. I'm here. I'm going to push my foot into the chair. Pushing into the chair. That's going to bring me forward. Keep pushing into the chair and back it up. And this is actually feeling really different than the previous ones that I've done before, because we did the hip flexor first. So my hip flexor up here, we're already stretched out. Now I'm just feeling in the mid and lower part of my quad. Press as hard as you want into that chair. Magical things happen. And what people don't understand, and understandably, about the resistance stretching is most of the magic that's happening within the muscle fibers and clearing out those adhesions is happening at the beginning when my legs almost, is almost straight, to the middle of the stretch. That's most of your functional movement right there. So those fibers, if there are any adhesions or knots, or if it's jammed up, that's when it's just like you're combing them out in the beginning and the middle. It's not just about the end. The end is just what you feel, and it feels great, right? But magical things are happening in the beginning and the middle. You're teaching your muscle to become more elastic. Okay, we'll just switch sides now. I'm going to face away from you for a minute. Turn, hand on the chair, flip it up. There we go. Whew. I'm laughing again at myself, how tight I am today. Okay, inner thighs pull together, belly in. Push into the chair with my foot. Shift forward. Keep pushing into the chair and push it back. Again, my foot could be against a wall. I really like doing it with the chair just because, I don't know, it seems like my foot's in the way. If I point my toe, then my bunion hurts, and if I push my toe, tuck my toes under, then it's just kind of like, I feel like I'm sometimes getting a cramp. So I really prefer doing it with the chair, but you can do it against the wall as well. It also works at the edge of your couch. I do it all the time, the edge of the couch. I don't even think I sit in this chair. I just use it for this quad stretch. All right, we'll do a few more. Whew. This one I forgot to mention, you have to do the opposite of sticking your butt out again to get the maximum stretch. Okay. And I think that does it. That does it today. This is my go-to series for me. You can kind of create your own, but try this one out and see if it helps. If you're suffering from DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, or you're just plain old sore, or your muscles are feeling tight before your workout. Have fun with it. Happy stretching. Bye-bye.